Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Um, is the reason Greenland is making headlines right now? Is this the reason? Sorry, is the name of the video. Ink of the Past is the name of the channel. Only 604 subscribers. If you want to subscribe, depends what he says, I suppose. Kind of links into the Terro de Lesso, um, kind of Satan's Little Seasons as well, I suppose. And Greenland again. According to other maps, there's a lot more going on up here than according to this map. According to this map, there's nothing here. But according to other maps, there is stuff here. So what's going on? What Greenland as well? It used to be green. That's why it's called Greenland. Well, believe it or not. I mean, you've got Iceland over here that's green, and then you've got Greenland that's white. So some people think that was strange. Well, it's because Greenland used to be green. This didn't used to be covered in snow or ice. And maps. There's maps depicting no ice at all up until the 1800s. And then the 17 sort of 1800s, there's ice and snow starts. Canada's covered in a mile and a half ice sheet, apparently, according to some of the maps. Well, so according to the maps, in around the 1700s. And so is Greenland and everywhere. And then it kind of, we get to modern times where we still have these sort of winters and the ice, but the snow. But according to these maps, before sort of this mini ice age around the 1700s, there was no ice. Again, this is just according to the maps, and not just one map, quite a few. You know what I mean? So we've got all this like Terra de Lesso crack as well, and like there's a missing, like there's definitely deleting parts of this map. They're definitely again the date line, to be honest, is absolute proof that they've deleted part of the map. There's 3 hours missing, and then they've stitched this date line back together best they can. But it's all over the shop, so, and it's kind of proof that they've deleted part of the map. That really, there's 3 hours missing as well. So they've deleted a bit of the map. They've deleted land up here according to old maps here. So what's going on? What are they hiding? Well, I think we kind of know, to be honest. Terra de Lesso and the Black Rock, Rupes Negra, and the North Pole, and everything that's kind of going on up there, and that's why people are not allowed to go up there. I mean, all the ice and snow could be some sort of defensive thing to keep people away from the area. You know what I mean? And well, it'd be an explanation. Again, it's kind of, we had the Millennium Rain and everything was caught. It kind of ends, and then the snow sort of appears, and nobody can kind of get up there weirdly, and you're banned from going up there. It's all military areas, so it's all a bit suspicious to me. It's all a bit suspicious. I very much think there's something in it. Then again, this is all about sort of Greenland, though, but it all kind of connects because it's all in sort of the same area, and more proof they're kind of lying about the maps and the map and history, I suppose. So, yeah, let's have a lot listen to this.
Greenland appears completely flat on every major mapping service. No mountains, no valleys, just white. Either it's the world's largest ice skating rink or something doesn't add up. I've been looking at Greenland through Google Maps, Bing, Yandex, even ArcGIS. Every single one shows the same thing. The interior is nothing but a featureless white blob. Only the coastal areas show any detail whatsoever, just flat white nothingness covering 3/4 of the island. You can zoom in as much as you want, the result stays the same. Scientists tell us this ice is over 1 million years old. They used beryllium-10 and aluminum-26 isotopes to date exposed bedrock. According to their analysis, Greenland was ice-free for 280,000 years before freezing over around 1.1 million
1.1 million years ago. So we know that's bollocks, to be honest. That is a lie. And yeah, we're being lied to about history because, for a start, we probably haven't been here 1 million years. Again, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs walk with man, and again, dinosaur just means terrible lizard, kind of a modern term. Only about 150, 170-year old. And before that, the people of the past used to call these things dragons. That's what the crack was. These people called these things dragons. That's where the whole dragon thing came from in the first place. And the walk with man, and it can pretty much be proved, the walk with man, to be honest, we're being lied to about that as well. They're not millions of years old, and how it's determined how old they are is how far down we find them in feet or meters, and that determines how many millions of years ago. It's not an accurate science, to be honest, and it completely discards a global flood, which every culture speaks of. And yeah, it's not millions of years ago, it's thousands of years ago. So, yeah, we've been completely lied to about history, to be honest. I mean, they made a film called Jurassic Park to try and cement the lie, you know what I mean? Kind of successful film. Kind of worked, to be honest, even though most of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were not from the Jurassic period, believe it or not. So, yeah, we've been massively lied to about history and again, before the flood and everything, really, because linking into sort of Satan's little season, he kind of falsifying history and evolution and all this bullshit. It's kind of all the well, it's all arguments against just the true crack, I suppose. So, yeah, it's that's why history is a complete lie. And again, as it said before, if the Millennium Reign did happen, the first thing the devil would have to do is cover it up. So yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence for all this. And again, history is massively a lie. The maps a lie. I mean, everything you could ever believe is a lie. I mean, the Earth's probably flat, to be honest. I don't believe the Earth's flat, but it probably is because everything seems to be a lie. So I'll stand corrected if the Earth's flat, but you never know. I wouldn't write it off at this point because everything seems to be a lie. So we know for a fact, right, that it wasn't 1.1 million years ago that Greenland was not covered in ice. It was approximately 400 to 500 years ago. Greenland was not covered in ice, and probably all of history before that, because this used to be a tropical planet. That's also been proved. Again, everything used to grow bigger, from trees to fauna to animals, because it was a tropical planet. Things grow bigger in extreme heat or cold. This has been proved in modern times at the depths of the ocean, or in sort of the Congo and the Amazon with snakes, etc. Things still grow bigger in extreme temperatures. Well, the planet used to be hotter all year round. There was no winter. So things grew bigger. So we're being lied to. This again will continue on. This is about the lie of Greenland, but Greenland's up in the area, so the reason they're trying to keep you out the top of Greenland and everywhere, all this kind of area, is because this is up by Terra del Eso and the Black Rock, Rupes Negra, and all this crack. And according to our maps, none of this exists, but according to the old maps, all of this exists. So we'll continue on.
Years ago. The official explanation says the weight of all this ice pushed the land down. The bedrock under central Greenland is supposedly near sea level now. They warn that if the ice melted, Greenland would probably appear as a group of islands. The ice allegedly pushed entire mountains down to sea level, not eroded them away gradually, but physically compressed the land itself. Older maps tell a different story. In 1638, cartographers showed Greenland covered in snow for only 6 months of the year, just like Scandinavia, not permanently frozen, just winter snow. The famous 1570 Mercator map shows Greenland with mountains, valleys, and detailed terrain features.
So this is the Mercator map, 1570, Greenland, spelled slightly differently, but still Greenland. Yeah, again, if we just roll it back slightly. Hold on. Oh, there we go. So, Rupes Negra, the Black Rock. Again, we have this company called the Black Rock. They kind of like telling you the crack without telling you the crack. So, the fact that one of the biggest company in the world is called Black Rock. I mean, this map was made long before the company BlackRock ever existed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this map's predicted the future in a way, and knowing who's in charge and they're like lying to us about everything, but kind of telling you the crack without telling you. There's maybe somebody in it, you know what I mean? So Rupes Negra, the Black Rock, again, apparently that's magnetic, and that's what all the compasses are going towards, apparently. Oh, the other crack is it's possibly like the Terra del Leso. I don't know which the crack is, or the theory on both, I suppose. But we don't know that again. I mean, some people would say again 1570 here. Some people would say that they just didn't know back then. But to say they didn't know when he has other maps that are very very detailed and very very accurate. And even this is very detailed. Again, it's got mountain ranges, it's got rivers. The rivers are named. Everything's kind of named, and the mountain ranges are all there everywhere. Individual rivers here, like 6 rivers, 4 rivers. You know what I mean? It's kind of real detailed. It says there's pygmies on this island. It's in Latin though, I believe, but you can make pygmies out there, and I've seen it mentioned on another map. I don't know Latin personally. We should kind of, because our English language is Latin and French. But anyway, let's have a look at Greenland here.
1970 Mercator map shows Greenland.
Again, rivers all named. Flew, I think it says flew. Flew, all the rivers are something flew. So flew means river or something. So all named, very detailed. Again, all the rivers named, mountain ranges, all these inlets and everything. So again, it's it's very hard to say that we didn't know what the crack was when you've got such detailed maps for the time. I mean, this is a kind of as well the time. Again, something kind of happened because before this time as well, it was kind of the time of the sea monsters as well. Some of them might still be on this map in sort of the 15 and 1600s. There were still apparently sea monsters everywhere. So whether we spent sort of two centuries killing off all these things, I don't know. But again, the sea monsters are depicted on these maps for a reason, and that was to warn people not to go in them areas, or your cargo will be at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't just draw these on the maps for the laugh, you know what I mean? That's not how this goes. Like, so yeah, the kind of all the sea monsters vanished as well. This around this time, again there was no ice, and then there was ice, and then a big something kind of big happened. Again, there was a mini ice age, but what caused it is still up for debate. But again, you got the sort of the 15, the 1600s, no ice, 1700s mini ice age, and then from then on, kind of the world we live in today with that's apparently got ice up there. I mean, the beauty of it is we do not get to go up there. I don't even think the people of Greenland go to the top of Greenland. All the territories are at the bottom of Greenland, so not even the people of Greenland go to Greenland. But as we can see here, from Greenland to the island near the North Pole, apparently, it's pretty damn close. But if you look on our map, all this area is completely blank and there's nothing there at all. So I mean that's very suspicious. So I go with these old maps to be honest, because again these people had no reason to lie to us, whereas the powers that be now lie to us about everything. So that's the one of the deciding factors here, that the people who now are in charge lie about everything. So I'd rather believe the people in the old times who had no reason to lie to me. You know what I mean? So we'll continue on anyway. So this is the Perry Reese map, the Mercator map, sorry, 1570, and yeah, it's all the North Pole, and he's got other maps as well, as I say, and they're very, very detailed and accurate. We'll move on.
Greenland with mountains, valleys, and detailed terrain features. According to the official timeline, he would have been mapping Greenland as it appeared millions of years ago. Somehow, he remembered to include all those mountains that supposedly got depressed under the ice. Either Mercator had a time machine or something else is going on. Multiple historical maps show Greenland free of ice. Numerous cartographers from different time periods and regions documented an ice-free Greenland. If you hit that subscribe button right now, you're helping this channel grow. One subscriber genuinely makes a difference for a new channel like this. The like button pushes this video to more people who want to hear this information. Greenland has been inhabited for at least 4,500 years. Norse settlers arrived in the 10th century. Leif Erikson sailed from Greenland to North America around 500 years before Columbus. The Norse colonies vanished in the late 15th century when Norway suffered from the Black Death. Later, Danish explorers reached Greenland and Denmark affirmed sovereignty.
Right, so it said again, the vanished in the 5th century from the Black Death. Now, I think that's a cover up in a way, and this is about the time of the end of the Millennium Reign. And the crack is, if you go and listen to some of the channels and who sort of covering Satan's little season, the crack is at the end of the Millennium Reign, pretty much most people in the Northern Hemisphere left to go to Terra del Eso, and basically, yeah, everyone pissed off. So I think they've kind of used the Black Death as a cover story for where everybody went, basically. And again, the Dark Ages is a lie, and it was really like the Light Ages. And that's how they sort of covered it up. Oh, it was the Dark Ages, now it happened. Everybody died of Black Death, but it's kind of like that's a cover story, and everybody just pissed off because they knew what was coming. So they just got out of there, and yeah, they're kind of covering up because again, this is all happening sort of the 14th, 40. It's kind of nothing happened, and then the 15th century just appears, like 1500s, and it's kind of history gets some credibility around the 1500s and goes from there. So it's kind of like just before that was kind of the end of the reign, the Millennium Reign, it seems. And again, it's just the crack is with that. Everybody took off to Terra del Eso. So are they just covering the fact that everybody left and saying, oh, it was the Black Death? I don't know. It's just there's a good coincidence there, so to speak. It's around that time, and apparently everybody on the whole island of Greenland died of Black Death. But at the same time, Greenland's very, very close to Terra del Eso, so everybody was like a pilgrimage as well. Like it was 1,000-year reign, and people used to go every couple of years, maybe every 7 years or so. I can't quite remember what the day was. On a sort of a pilgrimage to Terra del Eso, and that was the thing for people all over the Northern Hemisphere. And again, when the reign was coming to an end, the people made the pilgrimage for one last go, so to speak, and stayed there rather than come back to the world for Satan's little season. It's kind of the crack. So again, I don't know, but it just seems that possibly that everybody pissing off coincides when they're saying the Black Death was on the go. So is that a cover story for everyone just pissing off?
Sovereignty in 1814. That's the official story, but historical accounts raise questions. One 1747 map shows what appears to be a massive canal running through Greenland. The measurements suggest it would be approximately 630 to 650 miles long. The map notation says these straits were formerly passable, but are now shut up with ice. Formerly passable. That's a specific claim about a feature that supposedly existed before.
Yeah, and this passageway would have took you right to Terra del Eso. Like Terra del Eso is over here, so it's like a shortcut to Terra del Eso in effect. And again, there's probably again you don't really find rivers this kind of straight. This was probably carved out by a man, like the Suez Canal, and there is rumours that the Suez Canal again wasn't built by us, and we kind of found the Suez Canal because again the logistics of doing the Suez Canal now not a problem. We'd knock that up now, not a problem, but back at the time when they said they'd done it, slight problem. So one of the theories is that we kind of found the Suez Canal. It had been kind of filled in by the global flood, and we kind of dug it back out and went with it, but we didn't dig it out of the bedrock like the original people did. We just kind of took all the silt and everything out of there. So yeah, there's a big sort of canal running right through the whole of Greenland here. And again, the theory is that obviously this was built by man, so to speak, in the times of the Millennium Reign when they had a greater technology than we do today. Again, that's how they built all these great cathedrals and buildings, the likes of which we've never seen and do not build anymore because we can't. It's like the thing in Barcelona, the if possible cathedral or something in Barcelona. The Vatican is another example. Many things. The world fairs. We don't bother with them anymore, do we? So yeah, because we didn't build any of them things that were built in the Millennium Reign when they had the technology and divine technology as well, you would imagine, and could achieve things that we still cannot achieve today. So, I mean, the pyramids are another example. The pyramids of Giza, the Bosnia pyramid, none of which we could build today. So, they clearly were better in the past than we were today. We just like to think we're the most advanced because that's what you've been told. And history apparently went from the Stone Age and we've worked our way up to now. Well, that's not quite how it's gone down here. And there's quite a lot of proof of that. Well, the pyramids are absolute proof of that. The pyramids of Giza. And many other sites around the world. Baalbek in Lebanon, again, couldn't move them stones today. And hundreds of other sites around the world. So, yeah, a canal. It is said that these straits were formerly passable, but now they are shut up with ice. Yeah, so again, now Greenland is frozen after the 1700s. This is all frozen. But before that, you could travel through here, and in effect, this is a shortcut to Terra del Eso, or where Terra del Eso should be, but they've deleted it from our map. So there's a lot of connections here, you know what I mean? And again, there was a pilgrimage to the north, as I've said, to Terra del Eso by anyone, pretty much everyone as well, in the northern hemisphere went on these pilgrimages to Terra del Eso. So there was a passage for people to get there, so to speak. Um, and there was land bridges. Again, the water level was different, and again, there was no ice. So you would imagine, you would have thought it had been higher, but possibly not. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know if the South Pole was frozen at this time. I have no idea, to be honest. But you would imagine not if the North Pole wasn't. But I do not know. I do not know if that was a crack. The South Pole could still be frozen at this time. You would have to again look at the maps and see what the crack is with the South Pole. Maybe that is still frozen. Yeah, and I don't know. We're concentrating on the North Pole here, really. So anyhow, Greenland, no ice, mountains, canal right the way through it, which coincidentally ends up over where Terra del Eso should be. Um, yeah, and it didn't used to be covered in ice at all. It was, again, some things happened about the 1700s and the weather went to shit. Let's carry on.
For the current ice coverage. If you zoom in to the southeastern part of Greenland on Google Earth at coordinates roughly 67 degrees 47 minutes 55.92 seconds north and 33 degrees 43 minutes 7.29 seconds west, you can see what might be the beginning of this formation. It's subtle, but it's there. Only Google Earth reveals this potential feature. A 1592 map by Vincenzo Coronelli shows the southern tip of Greenland with no ice coverage, and displays two straits cutting through the landmass. The same map shows trees growing in the region. Trees in Greenland in 1592. An illustration from a 1763 book by Hans Egede shows significant vegetation, actual plant life that would require a much warmer climate. A 1770 map also marks these east to west channels. If cartographers simply made mistakes, why do we see variations in the details? Some maps show one channel, others show two. These aren't identical reproductions. They're different.
So 1770, and it's still ice free. So as I've said, so the back end of the 1700s, 1800s, something changed, and we had the 1815. There was the 3 years without a summer. So something big happened, whether it was a volcanic eruption, I do not know, but something big happened around the 1800s, and it kind of changed everything. Plus, the date for the American again 250 years this year, 1776. Again, that kind of links into the Satan's little season, end of the millennium rain crack, and again everything kind of changed. So these are all the dates that we're looking at. It's sort of the back end of the 1700s, the early 1800s. Well, all of the 1800s, to be honest, were kind of used to cover stuff up, knock stuff down, cover up history in many ways. We're talking, but around sort of this time, something big happened, and then by 1815 there was no summers, and again these are when all these wars were happening, like the Napoleonic War and the American independencies, and all these kind of cracks. So again, there's channels went into that kind of thing, and then and Siberia and all the big craters. I mean, it's all there's questions to be asked. To be honest, that's what it is. There's questions to be asked. So, as I say, in this sort of back end of the 1700s, early 1800s, everything changed, and then we had a mini ice age, it would seem, and 3 years without a summer in the sort of the 1815. Again, the Thames froze and everything. So something big kind of changed in that time, and again, just a theory, but was it sort of, again, is the ice sort of a barrier to stop us getting up there? Because, well, it's no one's allowed near Terra del Leso at this point in time. It's being protected. Well, the Lucifer has his run, so to speak. Again, don't know, just a theory. But again, there was no snow, and now there's lots of snow and ice up there, and you can't get up there and can't go there, and it just, I don't know, it's a good defensive barrier in many ways. You cannot, a human being would struggle to survive up there, so it's one of the best possible barriers you could have to keep people away from there. But yeah, I don't know, just again, around this time something seems to have changed massively, and then again they kind of started deleting history as well. So I'll continue on.
Different observations of similar features. The mainstream explanation calls this the incorrect assumption. An 1818 map by Egede illustrated what academics describe as the false belief that Norse settlements were located in southwest and southeast Greenland. Many locations named in Icelandic sagas were placed at what are now called imaginary sites on the unknown east coast. That's the official position. But what if these cartographers were recording what actually existed during their time, or based on reliable accounts from earlier periods? In 1888, Fridtjof Nansen organized an expedition to cross the Greenland ice sheet from east to west. This was considered groundbreaking because previous expeditions had attempted the crossing from west to east. Nansen's initial planned route.
See, like we're 100 years later now, so it was sort of the back end of the 1700s. There was no ice. We had this event at sort of the early 1800s, and from then on, we've had the ice. But up until sort of what, it's 200 years ago, 200 to 300 years ago, there was no ice up north in the North Pole, according to any maps. So, then again, the planet used to be a tropical planet, and so, yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, we've been massively lied to be honest, about history, again, not just about dinosaurs, but about everything, to be honest. So, yeah, kind of sort of the start of the 1800s is a mini ice age, and from then on, we've had the world we've known today. Again, Americas and Russia's getting battered by snow. Well, when I watch that, I kind of think like that didn't used to happen. Basically, we didn't used to have that. According to all these maps, there was no snow up there, and no ice, and nothing at all. The climate seemed to be a lot warmer, and whatever happened in the 1800s, affected the climate so massively that it never come back, and we've remained with ice up north. And again, it's kind of been proved, as I've said, that the climate of the planet used to be tropical. So it's kind of like the climate is deteriorating in many ways. Where I don't believe it is climate change. I don't believe mankind is causing it, because it's kind of happening long before we industrialized. Again, where a big shift happened in the early 1800s here, long before we fucking were polluting the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And then it's kind of been stable since then. We haven't had 3 years without a summer. Something big, really big, happened back then. Again, the one claim is a volcano, but it's kind of not a big enough event to cause 3 years without a summer. You'd need quite a lot of volcanoes to go off for that to happen. I can't. It's a good theory, the volcano, but it doesn't quite match the severity of what happened. Not to have a summer for 3 years is to block out the sun for 3 years takes an immense force. And again, one volcano is kind of, it wasn't a super volcano, so it kind of doesn't fit. It doesn't really fit. Again, it will if you're not, if you just say, I was a volcano, and people might believe that. But if you really sort of think about it, it doesn't seem a big enough event to have no summer for 3 years. No, I'll carry on anyway. So again, the 1880s here, and there's expeditions across the ice. So from 1770s to 100 years later, there very much was ice, but apparently before that there was not.
Had attempted the crossing from west to east. Nansen's initial planned route corresponds almost exactly to where the alleged canal would be located based on those older maps. His team couldn't execute that route. They had to take a different path further south. The official explanation is that terrain and ice conditions made the northern route impossible. If you overlay Nansen's planned route on those old maps showing the canal, the correlation is striking. Scientists are documenting rapid ice loss in Greenland right now. During an August heat wave, approximately 12 billion tons of ice melted in a single day. Studies indicate Greenland's ice is melting 4 times faster now than it was in 2003. If this ice melts and reveals the landscape underneath, what will we find? Will we see evidence of human habitation? Will the geography match those old maps showing channels and terrain features?
Well, with all the snow that's going on in Russia and America at the minute, you would think that it isn't going to melt. Then it'll be back to peak after. But the Earth kind of is getting warmer. Again, I mentioned this before. It's kind of heating up from within, not from without. It doesn't seem like it's us that's causing it. Again, we've had this crack in Sicily of this town falling into a ravine or into a hole or wherever. We had the mountain falling in Blatten, which was a new event to me. Mountains don't often fall to bits. And as well, we've got like California coastline falling to bits. Hold on, I'll mention that. So just on Quake Scope here, footage from California coast reveals aftermath nobody expected. 150 meters of coast gone overnight. So again, I mentioned like Mud Fossil University, and he keeps saying about things are like decomposing in effect, and it keeps happening. Again, we've seen Matt Blatten, we've seen this in Sicily there, the town collapsing. We've had, this isn't the one event down the coastline here. There's been multiple events of the coastline just falling into the sea in America. Yeah, it's all kind of going down here. I mean, in a way, it's kind of joking, but at the same time, I'm not. It's kind of like the film 2012's now actually happening, and the actual continents are now falling to bits on us here, believe it or not. So yeah, a week of unthinkable collapses. The American coastline, sort of down the California side. Multiple places have fell into the sea, and you can see the road here. I'll give it a lap play on it.
Is iconic Pacific Coast Highway disappeared into the ocean without warning. At 3:47 a.m., a 150-meter stretch of Highway 1 near Big Sur, carved into cliffs that had stood for millions of years, collapsed in less than 90 seconds, taking pavement, guardrails, and portions of the mountainside into the Pacific 300 feet below.
So there we go. Again, there's not the same one incident. It's happened in multiple places down the coast. So yeah, again, we got that crack in Sicily as well. That's why I mentioned it, just because this is happening all over the shop. Do you know what I mean? It's not just happening in Sicily, although you've got Mount Vesuvius. I think it's going to blow up as well, and whether Camp Vellegre will follow it after that. I mean, if that all happens, Jesus Christ, with the likes of which we've never seen. It's like literally a Hollywood movie. It is 2012. In effect, the film 2012 has come real. So yeah, the American coastline's falling in as well now. So again, the British coastline is as well. I mean, that's kind of erosion on the British coastline due to the sea. I mean, that didn't used to be a sea. That's why it's not really like a rock coast. But we see Britain falling into the sea there. We've got America falling into the sea. We've got Italy falling into big holes. We've got Switzerland's mountains are falling in. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all, to be honest. The mountain will. What's the film? The song "Stand by Me" as the mountain falls to the sea. Well, there you go. We were told yet again, stand by me. So I'll carry on anyhow with the Greenland crack. There it is. So just back on the ink of the past here.
The scientific community focuses entirely on climate change implications, but nobody in the mainstream is asking whether archaeological discoveries might challenge our understanding of Greenland's history. An 1849 source describes Greenland in ways that don't match the current frozen wasteland. The descriptions suggest a more habitable environment. Consider a different timeline. What if Greenland froze over relatively recently? Not a million years ago. What if the freeze happened within the last 500 years? That time frame would explain why maps from the 1500s and 1600s show an ice-free Greenland. The cartographers weren't making mistakes. They were documenting current conditions or recent memory. By the 1700s and 1800s, the freeze was complete, but cultural memory persisted. This would also explain the rapid disappearance of the Norse settlements. What if the settlements became uninhabitable as temperatures dropped and ice advanced?
Yeah, basically that's what happened. And as well, due to no summer for 3 years in 1815, pretty much everybody died due to starvation because you couldn't grow anything because there was no sun and everything kept freezing, all the crops. So only the rich and prepared and few survived. So pretty much everybody got took out by whatever happened. And the people that were left got brainwashed by the people who were currently still in control today, who basically seized on these times to take control of society, all the bankers, etc. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all these people seized the reins and took control, it would seem, in the aftermath of these catastrophic events that happened in sort of the early 1800s. Again, the amount of people that will have died when they don't have a summer for 3 years is pretty much everybody that have starved to death because, you can't grow anything, so only the real clever people, prepared people, possibly even the rich people would have survived, you know what I mean? And again, the ones that survived then basically deleted history and created the history that we know today. His story, the people that survived, he created his own story, and that's where we are. So, yeah, it's kind of like before, as you said there, this wasn't covered in ice, but the history they're telling us is, it's been covered in ice for 1,000,000 years. Well, that's a load of bollocks.
The Norse vanished in the late 15th century. That's roughly when Greenland would have been transitioning from habitable to frozen. The Icelandic sagas mention Greenland locations. Mainstream
Yeah, I mean, the first question is why you're lying? Why you're lying about the maps? Why you're lying about the North Pole? Why you're lying about Greenland? Why you're lying about history? why are you lying about all these things? Well, we know the answer, to be honest, because well, it's Satan's little season, and you have to cover up everything that's gone before. So that's why it's to stretch out history, make you believe that history's longer than it was, that dinosaurs existed, and God didn't mention dinosaurs. That's because there were dragons. So yeah, it's for me. I mean, honestly, I've said this before, and it's not the best answer you're gonna get, to be honest. But for me, the crack is Satan's little season here. It's not a great out. It's a good outcome in the end, I suppose. It always depends where you sat. So if you sat in the right place, this is all a good thing. But yeah, it's kind of, again, you can kind of prove history's been covered up and they've lied to us. And again, it's all out there. I've mentioned this before. If you want to know the truth in 2026, it's all there to be known. You just got to do some digging. But you're massively running out of time because they're shutting the internet down, to be honest. So you've got to get the information while you can here. So yeah, I won't play the rest of it. If you want to watch the rest of it, come over to the channel again. It's a fairly new channel, but he's asking the right questions here. What's going on with the maps and why are we being lied to here about history and all of history as well? Because it's like Baalbek and Lebanon and the pyramids and all these other things as well. That we couldn't build today. And they clearly had technology back then that rivaled the technology we have today. So why are you lying about it all? Is the question. Well, we kind of know the answer to that. You know what I mean? But for the people out there that do not know the answer, that's what you're looking for. The answer of why are you lying about all of these things? And what's the end game here? Well, the end game's aliens, to be honest. But we'll wait for that. Ripley's believe it when you see it. Wait for the aliens. They are coming. They're definitely coming. And I'm not. That's not like tinfoil hat bullshit. That's just again the kind of releasing the information systematically and all this fucking UFOs, UAPs. Donald Trump dropped a load in there. The alien deception is definitely coming. So I'll leave it there anyway. It's a lot of this will be madness to people in many ways. It's quite complicated. I think I mean, you're probably not listening now. If it's, you'd have probably knocked this off long ago, to be honest. If you haven't kind of got the crack, so I'll just leave it there. I think. Peace.